So good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for joining this virtual meetup for the Americas. This is number 14, and today we have a great agenda. We're going to provide a product update on what we have added to the product over the last year or so. So I invited the product team. Vito, if you want to move to the next slide.
There we go.
So at the end of this presentation, we'll post the recording to Success Central. Today's agenda, product update, giving you from our product managers an update on what we have done to the product. The next event will be scheduled for September 20. And as usual, those virtual meetup, we want to cover topics that matters to you, customers and partners. So let know your customer success manager or your partner success manager, what topics you would like us to cover. We can go deep into some specific aspect of the product, or we can talk at a high level about different use cases. Those virtual meetup are run on a quarterly basis, and they're really here to help you get the most out of our product. We have NPS survey inside of the product where you can give us feedback on the product directly. But also we're going to do surveys outside of the product, so then we can get your feedback. As usual, this is very important to hear from you, how we're doing as we provide the services then we provide with Harmony and all the products that we are adding to the family of product at Jitterbit. So I'm going to hand it over to Vito Salvaggio, who is our Senior Vice President for product at Jitterbit.
Great. Thanks, Phil. And happy to have this session. I'm joined here by some of the product managers on my team. Each of them will introduce themselves as they give you a quick walk through some of the major developments that they've been driving over the course of, I would say, the last 12 to 18 months. And so we'll start off on the Cloud Studio side, and then I'll conclude with on the Vinyl side, but we'll be taking questions as well. So Mike, why don't you start with the recent enhancements to Cloud Studio?
All right, thanks, Vito, and hello, everyone. My name is Mike Bates. I'm the product manager for Cloud Studio. I've got 3 slides broken up into, there's sort of performance stability, enhancements to the product, and then new features. So yeah, the last 12 to 18 months in Cloud Studio has been pretty active. Cloud Studio came out a bit before that, but that last period has really been the acceleration period. A lot of what we've done is this performance stuff. So I've got a lot of bullets there, but it's really around large projects. All the different things you can do with large projects they were individual efforts that we had to put in with engineering. Importing is one set of code, opening and editing, autosave, all these different parts of large projects, which we find many of our users have very large projects. We've been trying to hone that down and get that performance better so that moving around the product is just generally easier to do. So that's really what all that is dealing with, and it's taken place over time, and we continue to do both types of enhancements. On the stability side, again, this is more things, what I'm listing here are things that are visible. We're always looking first, if there's stability issues and trying to fix them on the back end. Things that happen that you would see in the front end are things like, we had issues where target field names would change unexpectedly. Creating duplicate nodes may not migrate. Certain things that give the product sort of a look and feel not as good as we would like. So we're working on those things. Notification when you've got 2 users in a project and they're editing and you may get a conflict, trying to make that a little more sensitive and better. And then with scripting, when you get validation rules, we've been really working. We did a bunch of work on creating some scripting things of our own that we're using third parties for. And so we've been getting, able to detect better detection to have fewer false positives and negatives when you're scripting and there are validation issues. So that's kind of the lower level stuff we've been working on. And then this is sort of a list of usability enhancements. These are kind of UI related, a little smaller than the features I'll get into in the next slide. And just a few examples. We've been doing a lot of these, but these were some of the more visible ones. When you create conditional scripts in a transformation, if you're linked to a source field, we didn't used to have a line for that. So you can now see where that connection is. It wasn't as clear before. The state memory is over this time period. You may have seen we've added a lot of expanding and collapsing things, left side of the designer, expanding and collapsing within transformation. So that's become a part of user settings now. So it's more consistent when you go in and out of the projects. You see the same setup you left with. On hidden variables, it used to be that when you had a hidden variable, while it would show up as dots, in order to edit it, you had to actually reveal it and show it. So we just made it so you could manage that without showing those. The dependency tree that we have now, you can open the components that are in it. It used to be just a static list. Now you see a dependency you want to edit, you can double click it and open it. Connector builder used to be in the project studio list, the landing page in the index of the project studio. We found a lot of our customers didn't actually even realize we had a connector builder. So we've now moved it out to the main menu. So it's much more visible. So you can, it's there and can explore it. We have a project history that lets you know each activity, each thing that happens within a project when people create an activity or delete it. We did not used to log when it was removed, so we've added that capability in there. And then, yes, color-coded operation status. So now you can see more easily when there's an operation that has things that need to be deployed. So it was an issue that you would change things, you didn't know which operations needed to be deployed. So now you can see that a little better. And we have a number of things planned to make that even a little better. That particular undeployed changes indicator a little more useful and functional. And transformation search, we did a major refactor there where now it searches faster. It shows you the number of hits you've got. It's got navigator arrows, so you can go first and next, previous, and see all the instances of the search. That was a pretty big effort for what sometimes looks like a small change, but that was a pretty big effort. And then that takes us into the feature enhancements, which these are the larger efforts. So over that, like Vito was saying, 12 to 18 month period, we've added the capability to undo and redo. So you can do many steps and undo what you've done. So you can back out of what you've done. There's a big add. We took the operation log and moved it from opening in a separate tab to being on a drawer in the designer. So you don't lose the context of where you are. When you're looking at logs, you can see the operation it applies to. You can still open it in another tab if you want, but we made that a little easier. We added what we call debug or verbose logging. So now you can turn on a feature in an operation that will actually show you the input and output of each activity within the operation in the logs within Cloud Studio. We're going to be adding more to that as well. So there's still a number of things you have to go to the agent and get logs for. We're going to try to bring more of that into Cloud Studio logging, so it's more accessible. That's future stuff. We added the ability to have comments and tags when you're migrating and deploying, and you can make those required if you want. If you want to have your developers always put a comment or a tag while they're doing their development work before they deploy. The project pane is the left side where you navigate the project. We made that resizable because the names of things can be very different lengths. So we need that to be a little more flexible and comfortable in there. Undeployed changes indicator. Actually, I talked about that before. That's the new indicator where operations have changes that are undeployed. Drag and drop. You can drag and drop things on the screen. You have been for a while, but you were not able to drag things from one tab into a new workflow tab across the top. So we made that work. And the last couple are big ones we're working on right now. Global connections we've recently released, and that is the ability to create one connection and use it in many projects in a single environment, and to have that connection in other environments with a different set of credentials without having to worry about if they're going to get overwritten when you do a migration and those kinds of things. So it really makes for easier to use connections. And we also want to do that with project variables as well, where you could have them on an environment basis. So that's out, and we've been adding capabilities to that. Copy paste between projects. We recently came out with 2. So now you can take components and copy from one project into a totally different project. You can even do that across environments. And we are continuing to add to that as well. We're going to be adding multi-select capabilities and other ways to make copy pasting easier to work on projects. So that is the quick view of what we've been working on the last 12 to 18 months on Cloud Studio. So Vito, back to you, or who's question?
Yeah, that's good. So, Mike talked a little bit about a couple of the things that we're currently working on and, in the months ahead. So by the way, all of these have been driven by our customers largely, and partners system integrator partners who build on behalf of customers. So pretty much everything we're working on has been driven by user needs. A couple of other key areas that we see in the surveys that I've run, maybe you've seen me send you a survey in 2022 around scripting and troubleshooting improvements are also key themes we intend to invest. We've started to invest quite a bit. So you'll see some progress in the months and quarters ahead on that, on the Cloud Studio area. So thank you, Mike. And next, we're going to jump to connectors. Connectors has been a major area of investment for us. And I'll have Will speak to all the progress that we've made in the last year or so.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Vito. Hey, everyone. My name is Will Clifford. I'm the product manager for connectors. And today I'll walk you through what our focus has been over the past 12 months from the connector standpoint. So as Vito mentioned, lots of work in this area, especially around the volume of our connectors. So as you can see, we've added over 100 new connectors over the past 12 months. That's kind of been our focus, to get you the technology you need to connect with the various applications you're using in your business workflows as that continues to evolve. One key call out here is that we now have over 190 connectors, and the big source of those requests and what we actually focus on comes from you, from our customers and partners. So please reach out to your CSM if you've got a specific application that you're either deciding to build some kind of workflow with now, or even in the future. If it's 3 to 6 months out, giving us that advance notice will help us get it on a roadmap, prioritize that build, and be able to provide you with that specific connector and functionality you're looking for. In addition to building the volume of connectors, we've also continued to make enhancements to them. So one area is around OAuth support, continuing to improve how you authenticate with connectors to make sure we're using the most modern methodologies and highest security options that you have to connect. API version updates. Every application you use probably is making API version updates, sometimes on the quarterly basis or maybe annually or beyond that. We monitor our connectors to make sure they're using the latest version and you have access to those new endpoints or functionalities you're looking for. Listener activity has been a big effort as well. So where we have certain applications that have the ability to listen for messages and build out that message queue, we've now added that new activity for you to start using to make more kind of real-time integrations that are event-driven as well. Editable schema support. So as we know, many applications that we work with have custom objects that you might create, custom workflows. Having the editable schema allows you to create your specific integration to work the way it needs based on your data and your use cases. And then finally, access to new endpoints. As with these updates to API versions, there's also new functionalities that get released. We listen to your feedback to make those enhancements to open up new endpoints and functionality for you. We also monitor them ourselves with our partners. Last bucket here is around customer priorities. I did just want to highlight that we also are always listening to you and through our CSMs to understand what kind of issues you're running into. That drives a lot of the effort that we focus on each quarter. So we've taken care of 40 plus bugs over the past year, 30 plus enhancements. And so please make sure to communicate that through our surveys, through your CSM, so that we can stay on top of where you're thinking of going next and be there with you to help you with your workflows. So that's it for the connector side. Lots of effort and energy going in here. Looking forward, we're going to be continuing to build out those enhancements and make our connectors even more robust and easy to use.
Thank you, Will. Next, we're going to ask Tommy Das, who's responsible for a few areas of the product. You can see their platform, API Manager, the Management Console, and the most recent addition to the capabilities of the platform are Jitterbit Message Queue. So we got a couple of slides that Tommy Das will walk us through. Tommy Das.
Thanks, Peter. Hello, everyone. Excited to be here for the virtual meet. As you know, my name is Tommy Das. I look into the Jitterbit platform, API Manager, message queuing, Management Console, and analytics. I'll walk you through a few of the things. We have done much more than what is actually listed here, but I try to condense them to the one that are more relevant from an end user perspective. We did add the listener framework support, which is a major feature we added in the last year. The single agent is already in production, and we just recently also released the multi-agent. You may not see that documentation updated yet, but we are in the process of updating the documentation. So you should be able to start using the listener framework, both from a single agent as well as a cluster. And we continue to support, roll out the listening support on multiple connectors as part of our roadmap. The next two are related to our emphasis to make the connector build process much easier. As you know, building a connector, especially for a large endpoint with so many APIs, obviously has a lot of effort goes in. So it also puts a lot of stress on the cloud platforms when you actually have a large API to support. So we actually came up with this concept of a private agent only connector type. It actually helps us to quickly develop a connector and release it on private agents and work to improve the overall stability of the connector and be able to support on the cloud operations. So it actually helps in both ways. It's quick release of connectors, plus make it available for customers as early as possible, and then work towards making them performance optimized for the cloud. So the private agent only is a new feature that, and we have released hundreds, I think more than almost 100 connectors with that kind of feature. We also completely automated the connector deployment process, so it's much easy to deploy connectors, and also much faster to deploy any changes. So that's it's an internal automation, but helps nevertheless in the overall management of connectors. We have released the support for SSO for our. We started with one of our partners. Now our partners have the capability to do SSO support for any applications that are connecting to the platform. So they can use their native logins to log into Jitterbit without having to go through the Jitterbit login screens. Now it's available, and it's available for any partners actually working with the Jitterbit. Reauthenticate on change is an optional security feature that we have enabled on our connector configurations, so that especially for enterprises who have certain compliance requirements, which basically provides the ability to add this additional security, so that whenever there are changes done to the connectors configurations, it will force the users to reauthenticate. So that actually helps, but it's an optional feature that's rolled out. The next is the environment class. I think this has been a big, ask from our customers, and we actually, we heard your, demands, and then we have implemented this feature called environment class. That actually enables you to now specify each environment as a production or a non-prod. In fact, non-prod itself has many choices. You have test, develop, staging, and so on. You can use it. But the main thing is that this actually helps you to now designate each environment as production and non-prod, and we continue to develop this theme in the future to take use of these themes of production versus non-prod environments. We have simplified the software downloads process by centralizing all into a single screen. I mean, if you're familiar with the previous versions of the product, you can see that there are multiple places you have to download software, but we have centralized them into the software download space. So any downloads, you just go to one page to actually download all kind of software that is needed, including agents and different versions. Audit logging, we continue to enhance it. We recently enhanced it with adding the environment info, so it actually helps you to kind of identify from which environment these calls are coming from. Okay, on the right side, the message queue is a new solution that we released a few quarters back. Currently, it's in public beta, and we are happy to say that we are now working towards making it available for everybody. So it's actually available for anybody on request right now. There will be two tiers, basic and premium. The basic tier offers 50,000 messages per month free, so anybody can actually start using message queue in their integrations, and if you're satisfied and if you want to use it for a higher monthly limit, then you can obviously opt for the premium version, which gives you higher limits like 10 million messages plus. With the message queue for everybody should be available in a couple of weeks when we release the 1073. So it should be, I will encourage everyone to try it out. And then also it provides you usage reporting capabilities. So you can actually see how many messages you're consuming. And if we don't impose any limits. So we expect, customers to manage their own usage. But if you want to know how much your usage, actually, you can use the usage reporting features. Okay, next slide. On the API, we have actually done quite a few enhancements. API has been one of our earlier products, so we've been completely working to revamp the product to make it more modern. We added several security features like making it easy to create whitelisting, especially for large enterprises who are using API and want to centralize the security of API access. We have made it easy to create groups of IP whitelists called trusted IP groups. So now it's all, so you can separate API creation versus API security as two different groups. So anybody who is creating administering the security, they have one place to change all the different whitelist areas. We also extended core support for APIs. So that's the other enhancement we have done. The other major enhancement we did was making the portal much more easy to access for especially users, especially for large customers who actually have a larger and outsourced developer community. They want to make the portal access easy rather than having to create all of them as a Harmony user. We have introduced the concept of an external user. So you just add go to the user management in Harmony. You can just add a user by just an email, and they get a registration link to register to the portal. Now you can decide, what level of access they need on the portal. They can define by which API they have access and which API group. An API group is the new concept we introduced, so we can now bundle APIs into a group. You can even bundle APIs across multiple environments into a single group, more from a functional definition. And that actually helps you to manage access to the API groups. But we continue to develop this going forward and make API group available across all parts of APIM. And then we also did some major upgrades to API gateway from a security point of view. So that's the REST upgrades. The last one. On the management console side, we've been modernizing the UI, the user experience. We have completely revamped the dashboard, management dashboard, and as part of the management dashboard, we are also simplifying the user management within the management console. So earlier you used to have these users part of organizations, and you had to actually add these members within the organization's page. We have now added this user management page within management console, where you can actually have one page to create administer your users. And we continue to develop this. Now we have rolled it out for external users. We plan to centralize this user management features, and it's easy to administer users across the platform. And then obviously the external user feature already spoken about. And then part of the management console dashboard update, we have completely revamped the subscriptions tile and expanded into a licensing usage reporting tile, which basically now makes it one place for users to actually view all your purchase limits and how you're doing against those purchase limits. And we'll continue to enhance this tile with additional metrics as we actually roll it out. Thank you.
Thanks, Tamidas. And next is the enhancements we've been making to our EDI capabilities, particularly for our cloud EDI. And so we have Blair who will speak to those.
Hi, everybody. I'm Blair Petula. I'm responsible for the Harmony EDI application as well as EI Cloud. And really what we're emphasizing here is that this is a new application. Like Vito said, that's going to be a cloud-based EDI solution within Harmony. So what that means is that in July, you will see a EDI tile appear on the landing page. That will be a gated solution, but we are open to having people, customers like yourselves and partners and getting involved in doing demonstrations and showing off the capabilities of the solution, what that's going to involve is a couple of different aspects. There's an EDI admin panel, which will allow you to self-manage your EDI trading partners. So adding a trading partner, adding workflows, managing your FTP and AS2 connections, because that's supported within the system. And what that, through that user interface, you'll be able to set up and manage your trading partners, monitor your connections, and then you'll also be able to have a transaction screen. So the transaction screen is really going to be like a dashboard. It's going to give you access to all your trading partners, the documents, including acknowledgements, being able to see related documents. So if an order comes in from a trading partner like a Commerce Hub or Home Depot, you'll be able to see that order. You'll be able to transact that order through Cloud Studio. There's a connector that you'll be able to use and set that up in Cloud Studio and use your knowledge of Cloud Studio to take that XML that we provide and transform it to send to your ERP, do that processing, mapping, send that data back. And then what we'll do is we'll pick up that invoice or shipment or whatever it may be and relate that document in the transaction window. So what that's going to enable your team to do is have somebody who doesn't necessarily understand the Cloud Studio aspect or maybe even have access to the ERP, have access to this transaction dashboard and be able to see the interaction and the documents coming in and out from your trading partners. So it gives you the ability to have full visibility of the EDI lifecycle, as well as managing that life cycle and communicating with your trading partner in an efficient way. There's going to be full messaging, logs for each of the documents involved as well. So again, adding to that full visibility. So when July comes and you see that tile, you'll be able to search trading partners, see we have 1,000 plus trading partners already on the system, as well as 4,000 plus maps, and contact your CSM, go through the process of showing you the product, introducing you to the product, and then eventually, once it gets fully released, giving you access to that application. So that's everything from my end.
Yes, and the timing is later in July to coincide with our 3rd, 4th week of July release. So that's when you're going to see the tile appear in the Harmony after the Harmony login page. So that's Harmony EDI. And lastly, what we wanted to bring you up to speed on was Vinyl. Vinyl is a recent addition to the Jitterbit family. It came through the acquisition of a business on the East Coast called Zudi. And Vinyl is a low-code application platform. LCAP is a category of products. There are many products in this category. There are many businesses making it easy for IT and non-IT business technologists to create full-blown applications now. You know, there's a shortage of IT and developer personnel and a growing list of requests from the business to build point solutions, gap applications, or full-blown applications. Vinyl allows businesses to do that. You can build small applications or full-blown CRMs and ERPs. So you can build fully scalable end-to-end applications that integrate with existing systems or are standalone. It's an easy-to-use system. Again, either we can engage, you can engage us and we can work with you to build applications, or you could learn about Vinyl and build applications yourself. You can create fully integrated bidirectional applications. It's a drag and drop interface. No coding is required. You don't have to persist data in Vinyl. So it's a real-time connection to your data sources to aggregate the data to build, this is an example screen, charts, dashboards, workflows, all integrated within the Vinyl application. It's built with security and privacy in mind. So that's absolutely critical, especially to IT, to ensure that groups outside of IT that build applications do so with the proper governance in place. You can integrate real-time data. So we got connections to hundreds of applications. We have flexible deployment. So you can deploy in your own cloud, on premises, or hosted in popular clouds. So that's a quick snapshot of Vinyl. If any of you are interested in exploring it more, we'd be happy to engage with you to show you, maybe do a proof of concept with you with our Vinyl team. So this is an exciting new development for us on the Harmony side. So with that, we'll jump to the last slide and then open it up for questions.
Yeah, thank you, Vito. Thank you, Blair, Will, Mike, and Tomidas. Very exciting to hear everything we have done on the product with the product over the last year or so. So if you have questions, you can raise your hand or you can use the Q&A directly, and then we can address that. I'll talk about a couple of things while what the questions, if there is any, are lining up. So if you want to learn more about our solutions, engage with your CSM. We're happy to bring an architect and drill down as deep as necessary into integration, automation, app building with Vinyl. Then we added this year to our solution. If you have EDI and want to explore what we're bringing to the table at the end of July, let us know. We're happy to show you what is it that we're actually bringing and how applicable, and what we do and how applicable it might be to your business. As usual, business practices, best practices session can be scheduled through your CSM with one of our architects. We're happy to do a health check on any of the development you have done, and or an architecture assessment. Bringing one of our architects. Remind you that I want to remind that we have also the CSA office hours every Wednesday at 10 a.m. just after this meeting, and this is show up and ask you questions. We always have at least one architect on the call to address some questions. Some of our customers participate to listen to other questions, so then they can learn what is it that others are doing with the product. So all this can be coordinated through your CSM, CSA. And if you don't know who your CSM, CSA, you send an email to Success or directly to me.